this really was being able to go to all 93 counties. You know, not a lot of people have really had the chance to do that. And just to build relationships with other people was really the highlight of the entire journey. And it was a lot of hard work. There was some ups and downs, but very, very rewarding. And I hope through the documentary that you sensed my spirit and my love for the great state of Nebraska. And like they say, there's no place like Nebraska. It is truly the good life. And we were going to do a raffle for the painting, and we're also going to maybe open up for a Q&A, like if you guys have any questions about the project, any questions you'd like to ask me, or about the filming of the documentary, we'd be glad to answer any of that. If you missed the time that we had down at the book signing at the library, I do have some books I'd be happy to sign for you, and we could do that here later on too. So thank you guys for coming.
What have you got plans for your next big project?
You know, what I love as an artist is I love just the paint itself. It's like, it takes on a life of its own. And so what I'm experimenting with now is just the different textures of not just how you apply the paint, but the structure in which it's on. And so I've been going through and doing a lot of experimentation right now and studying again some of the old masters, specifically a Russian impressionist. His name is Nikolai Fechin, and he's one of my heroes. And so that's kind of my next journey, is just to take my paintings to another level.
Did you name all of yours, all the paintings? I was curious on the names.
Yeah, that's
Like Familiar Scene makes sense, Merritt County,
yeah,
but all the other
that
ones.
one almost named itself.
Yeah.
It's like, I live north of the tracks, or some people refer to the wrong side of the tracks. But I would not give that up for anything. And North Park, that was like my home. And we felt it was like our park, growing up just a couple blocks from there. But so yeah, going, because you live north of the tracks, you're always waiting on the train to get home, and so it became a familiar scene. But yeah, coming up with all the titles, it's tough sometimes, and there's 123 works of art in the Legacy of Nebraska collection. And of course, my wife, Rebecca, she helps me tremendously with the titles and even helping with the painting. So, any other questions?
Do you have family, and how did that affect your life as you travel?
Yeah, so I have one daughter, and I mentioned my wife, Rebecca. So my daughter's, she's grown and through college, and my mom and dad still live here in Central City. And in fact, my wife went with me to a lot of the different counties, and then my dad, he also went on some of the journeys, and then my mom did too. So they all kind of took turns, and then of course NET, the staff actually traveled with us on some of those connections in different counties that we went into. So it was five years in the making. Again, something I had been thinking about even longer than that, because like when I was in Vienna, Austria, and in Prague in the Czech Republic, the gospel truth is I was actually thinking about Nebraska. I was thinking, wouldn't it be neat to do something like I'm doing here in Europe, where I'm kind of hitting some of the more famous landmarks and historical places. Wouldn't that be great to do in my home state of Nebraska? And so that's kind of how the idea evolved. Any other questions? Yes.
Who was the first person that you expressed the idea to do that said go for it, besides your family?
As a professional artist,
No, it's just that they helped you
The
survive.
93 counties.
this specific project, who encouraged me?
The most.
Probably my wife Rebecca. Oh, I guess you said not family.
So often, you know, a person has an idea, their family thinks it's okay, but then they go to the next person and they kind of get a, oh, that's a stupid idea.
Yeah,
or what.
well, really, yeah, Central City, I mean, really right here, you know, when I had the idea and, I had actually talked to Jeannie Solt, I talked to Chuck Griffith, and it was like, hey, this is something that I really wanna do, that I'm gonna do, and, you know, do you have any other ideas? And so, yeah, they were both very encouraging, and so Merrick Foundation and, you know, my friends and family here in Central City, I mean, without their early support, this would have never happened. So, I'm very, very grateful.
Was it hard to get the Historical Society, Nebraska Historical Society on board with you?
Well, no, so shortly after here, you know, meeting with Chuck and stuff, Michael Smith, he was the executive director at the time, and this was in 2012. I had sat down and met with him at his offices there at the State Historical Society right there on Centennial Mall. And I said, Michael, what I wanna do is I wanna go into all 93 counties and at least do one or more paintings. And he said, wow, I love that. And he said, when do you hope to have the work done? And I said, well, I'm gonna give myself 5 years. It was 2012, so I said, I'm shooting for 2017. Well, that's when he like about fell over in his chair and his eyes get all big, and he is, well, that's the sesquicentennial. And I said, Sesqua what? I mean, I don't know that term. So, it really was a God thing that it just came together in such a natural way. I had already intended on wanting to do this project, and then lo and behold, it was going to coincide with Nebraska's sesquicentennial. So, just a really, really neat. Yes, Kat?
The book is so amazing. It's such a treasure to have all of those pictures in there. And the writing that accompanies those pictures is exceptional. And I'm curious about who and how that writing was done. I want to go back and read them again. The writing is so good.
Yeah, well, my wife Rebecca actually wrote the bio part, and then the history behind each county, that was compiled by a lot of different sources. The State Historical Society, each county historical society, Amanda Gunther, my administrative assistant with the Nebraska 150, she kind of helped gather all that too. And then slowly we also hired an editor, and so there was a lot of faces involved, but yeah, it did come together very good.
Just perfect. It is.
Thank you, thank you. Any other questions? So